Orna, Ronen, Moshe, never in our worst nightmares did we expect to have all three of you on this stage in this capacity 633 days later. Orna and Ronen, you were here with us last year at Summit. You spoke so lovingly about Omer. We were praying diligently that he would be returned home. You received the devastating news last December that Hamas was holding his body and that he had been killed on October 7th. Can you speak to us about the last year and how you continue this struggle for the 50 that are still in Gaza?
So it's true, Sherry, we were here last year, and it was a very meaningful experience for us as well. All the support that we received here, and we were so hopeful that Omer would come back to us alive. And in early December, we received the news. Actually, it was close to Christmas, and we were invited by our local community to participate in a tree lighting ceremony. They wanted to pray with us for Omer and for the hostages. And that same evening, about an hour later, we received the phone call and a visit informing us that the IDF had received new intelligence that showed that Omer was killed on October 7th. And we were, of course, in shock. No one wants to hear anything like that. And what do you do with that information? How do you digest it? What do we do? Do we go to Israel? Do we stay in New York? And we called our rabbi that night and we invited him to sit with us and help us figure it out. He told us, there is no body. They're still holding on to Omer, and this is based on intelligence, right? Which is it's something that you can't really process because this was 14 months after he was taken. So what were we doing this whole time? And he said, you can sit Shiva or you cannot sit Shiva. We decided to sit Shiva. And he said, you must sit Shiva in the United States, not just in Israel, because many people will want to share their respects and their condolences. And so we decided to split the Shiva between New York and Israel, and there were thousands of people that came to pay their respects, which was also something very difficult to process. We found ourselves meeting people that were standing in line for hours outside, because Omer, to a large extent, became a symbol. He grew up in New York, on Long Island, and he chose to move to Israel and volunteer to the IDF. And many people in the Jewish community felt that he was their own child, and he was the face of the atrocities of October 7th, and they were holding hope with us. And with the notice, everything kind of fell apart for a moment, and people were lost. And they were thanking us, for allowing them to grieve together with us. And from there we went to Israel, and we sat Shiva with our family, and with also many, many people in Israel came to share their respects. But we also realized that this was not over. It's not over. And we still have a task, and we still have to bring Omer home. We still have more hostages that need to come home, and we can't stop. We can't stop advocating. We can't move on until they're back.
During the Shiva, President Trump called us to express his condolences, and we told him that it's not over for us until we get our son's remains back. And I think he appreciated it, and we heard from him that he's not going to stop putting the pressure on all the parties in the region to make sure that our son, together with the other hostages, are all brought back. And we thanked him for that. And ever since that moment, we didn't stop our fight, because we practically became family with the other families. And as we all know, 20 live hostages and 30 hostages that are considered dead like our son deserve a grave in the land of Israel, and will do, and we are not going to stop until they're all back.
Amen, and neither will we. Moshe, tell us about Omri, your brother-in-law. He is one of 4 living hostages who are fathers. Please tell us about Omri and his girls and his wife.
Yes, thank you for asking that. It's important that we keep speaking about the remaining hostages as the people they are rather than the number they represent. Omri, as you could have seen on the photos, has 2 beautiful daughters, Roni and Alma. They both survived October the 7th. Roni will turn 4 next month. And the biggest wish she's making for nearly 2 years now, is having her daddy home. And Alma turned 2 in April, yet to celebrate a birthday with her father. Omri is a shiatsu therapist and a gardener, so a healer both with human beings and plants, love of nature, of books, of sports, a devoted husband to my sister Lishai, an amazing father to Roni and Alma. He would spend so much time with the girls throughout the day. He wanted my sister to progress in her career, so he would be the main caretaker at home. On October the 7th, he was kidnapped from us. He was kidnapped from the beautiful life he created with my sister Lishai. You can see them in the photos. They built a home together in Kibbutz Nachal Oz after meeting in March 2020. Amid a pandemic, they fell in love, started a family, built a home together, and that home fell apart on October the 7th. But we still have the hope and the belief that we're going to rebuild that home in our land of Israel, where Omri will return to hug Roni and Alma, to embrace Lishai, to embrace his father Dani and his siblings. This beautiful soul, peaceful soul, should be at home with his family and not in the dungeons of Hamas in Gaza.
Absolutely. And you have spent the better part of the last year and a half in Washington, traveling the globe, speaking about Omri, and you use the word hope. Is there any room for optimism or hope that there will be a breakthrough in the negotiations soon?
I'm not a policymaker or a political analyst. I don't know what's happening behind closed doors. But I do know some of you will be going to the Hill tomorrow. And one of your priorities should be to say exactly what President Trump has been saying for the past week. We need to bring about the end of this war, and we have to demand the release of the hostages. This is the main priority now after we defeated Iran, after we diminished Hezbollah, after we weakened Hamas. There is an opportunity, as the current administration is repeating all over the media and in meetings with us, including last week when we met Secretary of State Rubio. There's a window of opportunity, but they need to hear from you. They need to hear from you every day, whether in person or when you write to your elected officials. Keep sharing the names and the stories of the hostages. Keep demanding action, no matter what sort of action that is. Keep sharing your belief that we need peace in our time in Israel. And that peace will only come when the hostages return, fulfilling something that our prophets, Isaiah and Jeremiah, have spoken in the Holy Bible about redeeming captives, about making sure that internal strifes are not derailing us from achieving unity in the land of Israel.
Amen. May it be so. Ronen and Orna, we were together a couple days after the election last November, and you both immediately grasped the change that was going to occur. Can you speak about the change that you had a feeling was going to occur, did occur, and then I know that you were very close with Eden Alexander and his family, and if you can speak about Eden's return.
So yes, of course. Actually, speaking about Eden, both Eden and Omer grew up in the United States, and both of them volunteered to the IDF. They didn't have to do it. They did it from the pure love to the land of Israel and to the notion that they have a duty, that you have to defend that precious country. In fact, Omer and Eden were on the same base, and strangely, the base name is Habayit Lavan, the White House. And that White House was a small little post between Kibbutz Nirim and Kibbutz Nir Oz, and Omer was the commander of that post. And early in the morning of October 7th, at 6:30 in the morning, Omer rushed with 2 tanks and a group of Golani brigade, while Eden stayed back to defend the post. Of course, we know now that Omer was not expecting with his group to meet thousands of terrorists, and their tank was put on fire, hit by RPG, and the team, Omer's team, was taken, all of them, into Gaza. Eden stayed back and tried to defend the base, did some heroic acts of killing few of the terrorists, but later on was taken. And we, all along, spent a lot of time with his parents, Yael and Adi. And of course, we're praying and hoping that Eden will come back. And we took part in making sure that this issue is staying bipartisan while we were with the Biden administration and the national security team trying to get a deal go through, and it didn't happen. But once President Trump was elected, we asked President Biden to meet immediately with President Trump, elect at the time, and nominate a team that will start to work immediately and not wait a minute. And they did. Both of them nominated at the time Ambassador Steve Witkoff, Special Envoy. And we've seen that on the first day of inauguration, people started to come out as the deal that we saw 33 hostages coming back. And it was a miracle, and a miracle that somehow we were part of by trying to coordinate it and put the pressure in place. But of course, the true miracle and the true victory will be when all 50 are back. And that's why we're here. We've been in Washington, like Moshe, so many times. And we'll keep on coming until we get them all back. And we do feel, to your question, that we have a special circumstance right now. Everything is lining up, and we have to make sure we're getting to the final and cross it, because we all know that it's critical. The situation there is dire. I just read a report today that the hostages are getting terrible treatment. The pressure of the IDF is growing. It's critical times, and that's what we are telling the administration and trying to make sure that now we are hearing that maybe Prime Minister Netanyahu is coming to town next week. We are hoping there'll be a big announcement, and one of them will be the hostages are back and the war is over.
Amen. God willing. And Orna, the last question for you as a mother to a mother, our hearts are breaking. Can you just tell us about Omer, who he was, his soul?
Omer had an always messy room. He was always busy. He had many, many friends. He loved people. And he was this tall, 6'2", smiley guy. always the one to break the ice. You know, people, the kids gravitated towards him, and he understood that there was power in that, and he didn't take it lightly. He was a kid that all throughout high school took leadership roles, whether it was on the different sports teams that he was a part of. At some point, he was the captain of the volleyball, basketball, and soccer team in a small school. And he was very, very involved also in a Jewish youth group called USY in the New York area. And he felt he had this special role. He was a parent of Israeli Americans, and he had a very close and loving connection with Israel, and he always chose to share that love with his peers in the different leadership roles that he took. He used to talk about Israel as if it were his girlfriend. Let me talk about my true passion now, he would say, you know, Israel. And he really grew in the youth group, and in his senior year, he became the president of New York metro area. And so for him, you know, he knew he was going to go to college, but he knew that he needed to spend some time with his true love and passion, Israel, and he took a gap year in Israel. He didn't know at the time that he was going to draft, but many people around him thought he was going to do that, because the minute he set his feet in Israel, he was at home. And he felt very, very connected to the land, to the people, to his peers. And throughout this experience, this was a leadership program that he was part of. He just felt that it wasn't right for him to just go back and to continue his life and go to college when his new friends had to serve. And that's when he decided that he was going to draft himself. So he was this kind of combination of this funny kid, the first one to, you know, make light and, you know, do the silliest things, and a very serious guy.
Thank you.
I just want to say one thing. Omer's friends that he fell in love with, some of them are serving still in the IDF. Some of them have spent numerous time over Iran with big F-16s. Some of them are still in Gaza in tanks, fighting. And I just want to together pray for their safe return and for the success of Israel, and again for finishing the war, getting all the hostages back, but also all the soldiers back safely to their homes and families.
Amen.
Well, you're speaking to the right group, because this is a praying group. So, first of all, thank you. May the next time we meet, all 50 be home, and God bless you, and know that you have thousands of people in this room and 10 million CUFI members praying for you daily. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So much appreciated.
for the
Thank
love.
you.